Hello and welcome everybody to episode 25 of the O.V.G.C podcast. I am your host as always, Soul Zane, and with me as always is SD
My name is
Convoy.
Jeff.
It is Jeff. It is still Jeff. It's always been Jeff, and maybe one day it'll stop being Jeff. But for today, it's still Jeff. Today, for what is it? January, March. For March, we're going to talk about Mario is Missing, and we are also going to talk about The Legend of Dragoon, our first quarterly game for the season. So that's going to be fun. I know I'm the only one who's played Legend of Dragoon. Pretty sure
Correct.
the only one in the whole server who's played Legend of Dragoon. So I'm not going to talk about that first. Let's talk about Mario is Missing. Hold on. My cats are starting to fight. So I got to throw this blanket at them. Let us begin with Mario is Missing. And you and I both played the NES one.
Correct.
I have some things I noticed about it that were weird. I've played and beaten the Super Nintendo one first.
Okay.
I did not know that the PC version was where the O.V.G.C meme came from and was a completely different game than these ones.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have tried to restrict us to the PC version as best I could, because these NES and Super Nintendo versions are just totally different games. They really are. The Super Nintendo and NES ones are just their own thing, and then the PC one is its own entity. Voice acting
The
and all
Super
that weird
Nintendo
stuff.
one is kind of similar to the NES one, though, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I don't really know how the development of the two went exactly, but I think they were kind of made at the same time. Because it almost
Did
looks like
Traveler's Tales
this.
do all of them?
I'm sorry.
Did Traveler's Tales do all of them?
Yeah, they did all three of them. So you can tell me your experience.
Oh, Software
with...
Cool Work. My bad.
Oh, okay. Well, whoever it was.
Yeah.
Tell me about your experience with Mario is Missing, and then I'll tell you. I'll fill in some anecdotes too if you gloss over anything that I noticed.
Okay. So I played this on my actual NES composite into my big old 36-inch. Thank you for helping me pull that up into my gaming area. TV.
Mm-hmm.
Broke our backs. But anyways, so my game came in a little bit later, and I didn't play it until just recently. But I kind of did the whole thing in one go. I think I went through the first world, had a screenshot of the password, and then just continued on. I do recall playing this one when I was younger. I believe I rented this one. I have talk about a waste of a rental, by the way.
Yeah.
As a kid, it's like, ooh, Mario is missing, and it looks like it's a spooky dungeon, just judging by the box art.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen this on Nintendo Power or anything. So we picked it up, and I played through it because, of course, we only had 5 games to play on the system as a kid, and so I wanted to at least play through it. And so I do remember finishing it and being kind of disappointed, even as a kid. My experience with this one, I kind of got into a little bit of a rhythm. I ended up just going to the map. Okay, there's the Koopas. Go right to the quickest way, left, right until you find them, stomp them, take the bag,
Yep.
rinse, repeat till you get all the treasures. It was trivial to find Yoshi
Yeah.
every
Much.
time. I mean, that was the easiest thing.
Probably my favorite
Uh,
thing out of
so
in the game.
I guess I didn't even get to the point. Is it canon that you have to have Yoshi to talk to the lady?
Yes. So if you do not have Yoshi, you cannot reach the information desk.
Okay, because you're too.
you're
I would.
you're
I
vertically
would
challenged.
yeah. And Luigi's the taller of the two brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently he's just not tall enough for the information desk though.
I mean, why would you have an information desk a story up?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to literally just be a few more inches off the floor, they were like, "All right, you're safe."
Um,
Yeah, go on.
so So anyways, I kind of got into a rhythm and kind of blew through the whole thing pretty quick. I was cheesing most of the answers. Some of them I kind of intuited, oh, that sounds right. So I just chose that one.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
so do you lose dollar amounts if you get the wrong answers?
That's a good question. I
Because
do.
I saw there was a score at the end, and I'm like, that can't be static.
Yeah, I don't know if it is. That would make sense. That would be the only time to me I think you would lose money is if you were answering questions wrong,
Yep.
and then it would be like, oh, you have a base price, and then that would make sense to me. But I don't know. I didn't test it, and I didn't even bother to look it up. So, could be. Could also just be static. It could be like, "Ooh, you beat it with everything." Yep, that's a complete file, all the money.
Yep. 75,000 or whatever it was on my end game screenshot there.
Yeah, so my
Um.
end game screenshot I think was different. So it could be.
Okay, so it must not be static then.
Yeah, perhaps I'll have to look back on the Mario's missing page really quick here and see. Your
Um. I did feel a lot of jank while playing it. Hitboxes are kind of awkward. You get used to it. You know that you have to kind of stomp straight down on the Koopas or you don't hit them. If you're coming from like Super Mario World, you can't really hit things at an angle coming down.
yeah, my ending was 78,900.
Let me check mine. That's exactly what I have. So it must just be
Okay,
static then.
it's static then.
So congratulations, you get the score. Why even have the score on the end screen if it's always going to be static?
It's just it's an old game thing. Like it's a classic video game thing to have a score, right?
Yep.
It's developed by people who grew up in arcades who wanted to have a
They
score.
had to follow conventions.
Exactly. Um, yeah, I also cheesed all the answers. I was like, just mash the answer, mash the answer, mash the answer. What I did not like was that you have the menu options. You have
Yep.
the three items. Let's say you get all three Koopa items, and you go to talk to the kiosk that requires it. You have to select the item, even though you have
Yep.
it on you. And also,
The game's not smart enough to just say,
to just
"Here's the
say,
item you want." Of
right,
course, I have the Eiffel Tower. Here you go.
yeah, you already have it in my inventory. Thank you, Luigi, for having an Eiffel Tower on you. Also, they're like, yeah, you're missing, like, yo, we're missing the Eiffel Tower, and Luigi's like, oh, I happen to have the Eiffel Tower right here, and they're like, hold on a sec, Luigi, we don't trust that's the real Eiffel Tower, so you got to answer a quiz question about it. What's that?
Is it made out of metal? Is it made out of cheese? Is it made out of wood? Or is it made out of clay? It is made out of metal. Correct. We trust you now.
Yeah, exactly. And you can learn all that information by talking to the people, right?
Right.
But you could, like we just said, just cheese it and be done with it. It doesn't really teach you anything. It's kind of a poor education device. The PC version does the same thing, like it teaches you, but you have to answer all these quiz questions in a row in order to return the item. So it's a bunch of stuff at once.
Okay.
And the whole game's voice acted too, end to end. So it's really cool. Yeah. It looks cool visually. It's really neat to play. The map system in it is different, where you're on the map and you have to like target the spaces, and you can also take taxis to fast travel around. And then all the Koopas are like doing different things that they've stolen the art. Like some are like dragging bags or flying in little helicopters and stuff. And this one, they're just walking around like, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry. But also I noticed on the NES version, the Koopas do not spawn if you are walking the same direction they are. You have to come at them on the map in order to see them. I don't understand it. It's very obviously just some sort of development glitch that they didn't patch. Yeah, some weird bug. So that was like super strange to me. Because I was like, I don't understand. How did I miss him? And then I started to notice that that it was only when I was coming at the Koopa that I could see him.
I always figured if I just hit the end of the wall and then doubled back, I'd always run into him.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what, you'll run into him. It was just kind of confusing me the first time. So,
Having the menu to like talk to people was kind of annoying.
Yeah, that was
The
a little
menuing
strange.
in general was the weak. Like, I understand it's
Yes.
an educational game, so it's not going to be, platforming and in defeating enemies traditionally like Mario. I get that,
Yeah.
but having to menu through everything was really tedious.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. Um, I do think that aside from the NES version being the weakest one, the Super Nintendo looks good. The Super Nintendo version looks good, which I'm gonna go back to so we can kind of like
Okay.
do a little bit of a comparison here on the
I
Super
think the
Nintendo one.
NES version looks good for being on the NES.
Yeah, yeah. So Yoshi swam across the fucking Atlantic Ocean. Yes, he also uh, he also traverses the entirety of the United States from end to end quite quickly.
I
Um,
did. I will say I did feel a little bit uncomfortable that I ended up helping the Russians.
yeah, but look at this. Look at this one though. Like the animation of
Oof,
Luigi. The tracking.
he
It's
moves
as if
so
the
quick.
tracking's like only on his head. It's just his entire body
I
moves.
love the little pew.
Yeah, the running. The music in the Super Nintendo one is really good. I really, really like the
Yeah,
Super Nintendo version. Um, I think that's really cool. And also, look at the mini map at the top. Isn't that neat?
that
Um,
is pretty cool.
I don't believe you need to select the object in order to return it on this one. I think you only needed to do that on the NES version.
So this is the one that you want to play, honestly,
Yeah,
if you're
the
going to play
Super Nintendo,
a Nintendo version.
the Super Nintendo remaster is a much better port than the NES version.
Ooh. Uh,
um, so Mario's missing.
there
He's
you
been
go.
found. There we go. It's been done. I don't
He
really
should
know
have
what
stayed
else to
freaking
say about
missing,
it.
but okay.
I a little bit of a letdown of a game from anybody in anybody's standpoint, to be honest. Though I mean, like, but it takes advantage. Like this version takes advantage of like the what do they call that? The is it parallax background scrolling, or what do they call
Yep.
that? Yeah. And
Yeah,
if they had
parallax
put it
scrolling.
on a Sega, it would have had 3 layers of background scrolling.
Woohoo!
um, so, but yeah,
Blast processing.
there isn't really anything else I have to say about Mario's Missing. So,
No, I think that's about it.
but I have a lot to say about Legend of Dragoon.
Ooh.
Okay,
Here's
so
where I'm gonna sit back and listen to you tell us the story.
okay, so
Goon on us.
The Legend of Dragoon is a cult classic RPG. It has a very large cult following. I say large just because you either are really really into the game or you've probably never played it.
Okay.
Or you have played it and you're just like it was a game. I feel like there's no in between.
Get the thing.
I feel like there's no in between. Um
You
First
either
off I want
love
to
it or
say
you're neutral about it.
pros. I'm going to say pros first because I feel like that's not only a shorter list, it is also a thing that it also kind of gives me a little bit more to work with here. So, pros wise,
Okay.
the story is good. It is a good story. It suffers from a really bad translation. They very obviously did not have the skills to translate it when they brought it over. I don't understand why Sony made such a grievous error for such an epic game. It was a 3 year development system. It was in 3 years of development, mostly because of all the cutscenes, all the different like visuals. You can see it's really pretty. Like look at all the stuff going on in the background in the video there. You know,
Oh yeah.
it looks really good. I cannot fault it for that effort. There is voice acting in the cutscenes. There's voice acting during combat
Okay.
where characters shout their attacks like an anime character. Um,
But not for just like text boxes though.
yeah, not for text boxes, which is fine. It is really straightforward as an RPG. It has a really unique combat system that gets kind of addictive, just because it's an earlier version of action time battle. Essentially, other games do it better, but Legend of Dragoon does these things called additions, where the more timed hits you do, where this little square is circling down, and then you hit the X button at the right timing does more damage the more of those squares you successfully hit. You can level those additions up as you play, and those additions get stronger and you can equip the next edition, and once you level up all the editions, you get like their best edition, which does like an extra 400% damage or something like that. But you have to level them up. It's really kind of obnoxious. Grinding in this game isn't really grinding for levels, it's grinding your additions, and that's pretty much it. You just grind the additions. There really isn't any good way to level up in this game. I tried. There's no good way to grind money. There's no good way to grind experience.
Okay.
The game taps out at level 65. And you
that's it.
cannot... Once you get to level 40, it's like a slog after that. The leveling up is like near impossible because
what level do they expect you to beat the game at?
You could probably beat the game at like level 28. Like level 28
to
30.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like
okay.
I beat the final boss with like almost no real effort. There are bosses in it that are basic skill checks. They're tough. The first one occurs towards the end of Disc 2. And if you are not getting like leveled up at that point, thankfully, there's a really good grind point just before that if you wanted to grind or knew that it existed. But that boss, it's a what they call a wingly character, who is the first wingly you'll see in the whole game, even though you've heard about them being somewhat extinct. But up before that point, they're really just hidden. That wingly fight is like hard, and it makes you go like, holy crap, is this what the winglies are like? You know, and not just that fight, but there's another one later on where you have to fight what's called the dragon block staff, which prevents dragons from being able to use their full power, which reverse works on you as well. Once you get the staff, it makes it so your dragoons are actually weaker too. So you can't go into Dragoon mode when you have it. So that's another thing. But the boss fights are okay. They're kind of cool. There is some things in the combat that do seem a little less intuitive than I think that they could have really kind of focused more on. So I'm not a fan of doing the additions just because they kind of get a little complicated, and sometimes an enemy will block an addition and you have to hit the circle button instead to block the move that comes at you. And we're going to see combat here. But that's the addition going off. You have to time all those hits there. And sometimes a circle button block command will show up, and if you miss it, it ends your addition and you have to retry it. I think it would have been cooler if they made it so you had more buttons to hit to kind of stay a little more on your toes with combat besides the X button, because once you get used to it, it gets like super duper boring, like to redo
you get the timing down
over and over and over again. And if you screw the timing up at all, you're just like, oh god, you know, it's like I've done this 100 freaking times now, you know, or 50 times or whatever. Another thing I wish the combat did too that other games with a similar system do is allow you to block an incoming attack, so you kind of can pay more attention to how the enemy is coming at you, so you could time your hits to block an enemy attack. I wish it had that, just to kind of make the combat seem a little more like I'm like more focused and into the combat. Otherwise, every time I watch these dumb cinematics over and over and over again of the enemies fighting. Every boss has a crazy cinematic of some sort. Even your own characters do. That if I could just stay... No, they're not. It would help me stay more invested in what's going on. Because otherwise, an enemy boss attack starts and I just go, okay, set controller down, check phone until it ends. That's what I did. And I grinded a little bit in this game because I wanted my additions to be a little higher. Because you need to. Once you get new additions, you have to grind them. Otherwise, they're weaker than the addition you just dropped and switched to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't grind them, you're actually worse off. So like I said, that's the only real grinding you can do. I want to grind in other ways, but like certain things are just like near impossible to get. And like you can get like these ultimate weapon, like you can get like really strong weapons. You can get like really strong equipment drops from certain rare enemies. But by the time the 2 or 3% drop occurs, I'm already strong enough to beat the game. Like,
Right.
and at that point too, there is a point of no return. So if you were grinding, if you were the only real good place to grind is in the point of no return area. There's one enemy that drops 2,000 experience points, which splits among the party, and that's it. And it's just like, why can't I have this before this point? Because there's a whole bunch of extra bosses to fight, and there's a whole bunch of extra like there's like an extra like set of weapons to try and accrue as well. I only did one of them, and that fight was actually really hard. And I went back online to kind of read about what I missed because I didn't really feel like trying to like find it all. And I went back online to read all the stuff I was missing, and I was like, oh man, these actually would have been a real skill challenge to do. And I can see though that the problem with this game isn't really that there isn't a skill, there isn't really any skill to what you're doing. You just have to kind of find the right equipment along the way, and then as long as you have the right equipment, you just need to get all your additions correct and you pretty much win. Going into your Dragoon mode now is very powerful, but sometimes your additions, just doing your additions, are almost just as strong or even stronger in this character's case than just becoming a Dragoon. There's no point in doing it because
just
not only
basic attacks.
Yeah, because not only am I still doing the Dragoon thing, I still have to do an addition button hit in order to do it. Now, the only and to use magic, which there are 3 characters that can use magic well, which is all the girls.
Okay.
The only way those characters are useful is when they do magic. And magic is only accessible when you're in Dragoon mode. And only one of those characters cannot go into Dragoon mode as easily as the rest because she doesn't have additions. So she's totally useless, even though she has the strongest magic stat. The only way you can use magic otherwise is there's equipment that builds SP, which whenever you take a hit with that character. And the only other way you can use magic is with items. Which item damage is based off of your magic attack stat. So if you aren't using those items, you are actually like handicapping yourself because your magic attack stat will always do more damage than your base attack for some of the characters. And so like Dart, like he's almost like totally useless for most of the game until you get his
Isn't he the main character?
Yeah, and he's junk. And he's you cannot take him off your party. He's permanently locked on your party. So it's him and 2 other characters throughout the whole game. Now, so I just used items with Dart because instead of doing 150 damage, I would throw an item, which you have to mash a button, the X button, over and over and over again in order to do the most damage you can with the item. And that's based off of his stat. So instead of doing 150 damage, I'll do 300 damage. And I'm like, great. I used up 2 turns for Dart. That's great. And his the worst thing about the button mashing is if some of the items don't need it, but some of them do, and you don't know until you throw them. And I believe the ones that attack every enemy are the ones you don't have to do it, but I think sometimes there were ones that did do that you still had to mash. So like I said, you don't know until you throw the item. And shoot, I lost my train of thought there really quick. But because magic is only done in Dragoon mode, Dragoon mode only has 2 attacks, two ability things. You either get a base attack or you get a magic attack. I'm kind of digressing backwards because I don't remember what I was building up to. I apologize. The problem with Dragoon mode is when you're in it, you're stuck in it until it runs out. And if you have a full party, then 2 of those other characters die, you can't use items. You can't defend and you can't escape until Dragoon mode runs out. So
that seems very limiting.
I got ganked a few times by bosses because there's a special you can do where you can make all 3 party members turn Dragoon. And I'm like, I can't do that with all these characters because they won't, some of them will just get killed. And there's a boss fight earlier end of disc 3 where if you go Dragoon mode and you attack the boss, he counterattacks with an instant death ability.
Oh no.
And so I had to restart
Okay.
that fight because the game tricked me.
So, usually with this kind of a situation, in good game design, there's a risk versus a reward.
Right.
You're going to say, if I transform into a Dragoon, this better be worth it because there's some drawbacks. I'm leaving myself wide open if I whiff this attack, like in a fighting game. So, in your opinion, is the Dragoon mode usually ever even worth the risk to get the reward for? Because you were saying that you can just do the additions and take the guys down most of the time.
Yeah, it's only useful if the boss doesn't have a way to counter your Dragoon mode.
Okay.
And that's because Dragoon mode, the best thing about going Dragoon, which isn't what it's called, but
you got a goon, bro.
The best part about going goon is it raises your defense stats, so you actually take less damage. And only a couple guys have magic abilities that actually like alter your stats, or do like sub things like heal your party or heal like status ailments. Which this game's rotten with lousy with status ailments. Like there's a whole bunch of different kinds. Combat wise, I feel like there's very obvious flaws that they could have picked up on and said, other games are doing this better. We need to kind of change a little bit of what we're doing here. And I think they were really focused on the story. So that's why the game doesn't let you grind or overlevel easily, because you still could if you wanted to, but man, is it a slog. If you actually want to grind, the easiest way to do it is let a bunch of your party members die and then only have 2 party members that are conscious. 2 or 3. Like all your reserves, keep them dead. Like that's the only way to actually gain experience points.
Oh, because it's divided between your party members. It's not just like given to everyone that beats the guys. Okay.
Yeah. But otherwise, shoot. Man, I feel like I keep getting off track because I have a lot to talk about with this one. But otherwise, the game is just like it's good enough that at the time of its release, you could see this game as being not a product of like because it really to me feels like a product of people catching like the RPG craze at the time.
Yep.
But like it really tried to be its own thing. However, you have a game like Vagrant Story, which came out or before this, around the time ish, something like that. It's in the same era, which does action combat way better. Like it just does it way better. And Vagrant Story is hardly talked about. You have
big number damage.
You have just before this game, Super Mario RPG Legend of 7 Stars, which has action combat and defense.
So does Dragoon have defense?
No. That is one thing I really don't like about it, because it could have that. The whole time I kept playing, I kept thinking, if I could push X right now, I could defend against that, right? If it had that option, it could have that, but it doesn't do that. And I felt like that was something that was really lacking, that I think would have made combat feel a little more fun to me. Also, I don't like that I can't switch Dart out of the party at all.
Ooh.
There were so many times I was like,
Mario RPG.
Man. Yeah, I know. There were so many times I was playing where I wish I had that girl Rose instead of him, because she does more damage with magic, and I'd rather have another magic member on the team, but I want 2 good tanks / 2 good damage dealers and a magic user. Sure. But the thing is Dart is none of those things until you get the Soul Sword, which is his optional blade. And that blade does continuous damage to Dart every time he attacks, unless you equip the very rare health regen ring called the Therapy Ring, which counters it out. And so then I
Okay.
lose the therapy ring usage for another character, which really, that therapy ring got me through so many boss fights. Because it basically kept one character topped off the whole time, and they could just revive all the time. Which helped a lot with some things. So that's kind of all I have to say about the gameplay mechanics, I think.
Sure.
So I'm going to talk really quick about the music. The music is for the era it came out in. It's got some really cool tracks that I do like. I think it's got some very like kind of like funky beats to it, honestly, with some combat themes, and then it's got some like really creepy ones that I think were really neat to listen to. I'll see if I can find them online, and I'll post them in the Legend of Dragoon chat for you guys to listen to. Something to keep in mind for next time I do a music quiz.
Take notes.
Yeah. Otherwise, like the next thing to talk about is the story. And story-wise, it's very cool. You play as Dart, who at a young age left his village for 5 years, and he left his friend Shauna behind, who is a bit younger than him. And he comes back, and the village is on fire. It's being burned down, and he remembers his friend Shauna being there. Well, turns out that Shauna was kidnapped by the people who burned the village down, and he didn't understand why. And he was like, I gotta go rescue Shauna. I think they're gonna basically his country that he's in is at war with another neighboring country, and they've always been in a conflict for a long time. And he was afraid she was gonna get like taken away to the other country for some reason. But he goes back to save her. He's like, that's my, I grew up with Shauna. She's my childhood friend. I want to go save her. The relationship with him and Shauna is like really strange because she is now 18 at this point, and she wants to be seen as an adult to him because she likes him, but she doesn't really know whether or not she loves him or not. But the game is constantly like trying to rib Dart and be like, Dart, why don't you date Shauna? And he's just like, date Shauna? That's my sister. It's like, she's not your sister, Dart. But very frequently, she's constantly going like squeaking up to it. She's like, oh, Dart, wouldn't it be kind of neat if we held hands? And he'd be like, sure, I'll hold hands with you if you need help.
Oh, jeez.
He's got an emoto kink, I believe. That's what they call that. But, he's into his little sister. No, not really. Because the thing is he's constantly oblivious to it. Constantly oblivious to it. He like wants to just work on saving the world, essentially. Because he's a mercenary. That's what he does. In the beginning of the game, he starts out like coming back home, and like some enemy soldiers are coming through the woods, and they're like, are you part of the enemy, such and such, whatever? And he's like, I'm a mercenary from such and such town. They're like, such and such town, that's part of, we're raiding that place right now. And then Dart's like, okay. And then they like all leave or something like that because there's a dragon attacking. And whatever, he makes it to town. He kills off the rest of the soldiers that were burning the city. He's into like being the hero because he's a mercenary type thing. However, even though he was gone for 5 years, like all the places you go to in the world, nobody has any history with Dart whatsoever. So I don't understand what he was doing as a mercenary, but I think he was just living in a cabin in the woods for 5 years, practicing his sword. That's not true. I think he had a trainer or something for a little bit. But which joins your party, like I believe he calls him master. Okay. So Dart rescues Shauna, and he meets another dude named Lovitz. Lovitz is the chillest, coolest bro dude you've ever met. Like, he's always like, yeah, let's fucking kick these guys in the ass, dude. And him and Dart are just like,
Bro.
Yeah, they're like super tight, and they're like building him up and all this stuff. And you go to like Lavitz's hometown, and he like introduces Dart to his mom and stuff. And he's like, and this is my bedroom where I play Hot Wheels. And he's like, and Dart's just like, Lavitz, you're so cool. And then fucking Lavitz dies.
What? Spoiler warning.
Straight up in the game, the bad guy.
No, they commented the dude.
One of the bad guys just like fucking impales Lavitz, and the whole time Dart's just kind of like, oh, he's just like totally struck down by it completely. Lavitz's character gets replaced by the king that Lavitz was protecting, who then joins your party afterwards. And Lavitz got Aerith. This was after Aerith was.
I was gonna say they gotta make this. They were looking at Final Fantasy VII under a microscope. It looks like a little bit.
Yes, I think they were inspired by Final Fantasy VII because it came out a year after this game started development. So there's a chance that happened. But Lavitz comes back later on at the end of the game as a friggin' zombie because his soul can't rest because all the souls in the world are like clogged in this one place and they can't rest yet because of something happening. You don't know that this happened until you get there, and you find out all the souls are like trapped in this place, and then some demon like took over Lavitz's soul and like basically turned him into like this grotesque zombie thing. And yeah, it was kind of neat. It was really cool. The whole storyline with Lavitz, love that. As a character, really good development. All the other characters kind of pop in and then like only kind of chime in and talk about themselves whenever the game wants them to. Otherwise, a majority of the time it's focused on telling its main story and then trying to push Dart and Shauna together. And Dart and Shauna share like a kiss or an embrace by disc 2 or 3, beginning of disc 3 or something like that. And that's when they're kind of like you start to go, oh, okay, they are getting together, I think. Like, but the thing is the game never tells you outright. Dart never goes, Shauna, I think I love you, or anything like that. You know what I mean? They're just kind of like testing the waters of this relationship. Shauna's constantly throwing herself at him. Just constantly throwing herself at him. And then everybody in the party, including Lavitz beforehand, is just like, Dart, I think she likes you. But her whole relationship as a character to Dart is all based on her being in a relationship with another person, specifically a man. So Shauna is super two-dimensional because of that. It's just really annoying to listen to her talk because her whole thing is like it's like I used to play outside here with Dart. When I was a kid. It's just stuff like that. That's just kind of who she is as a character. But you come to find out that Shauna is actually like the evolved spirit of this thing called a Virage, which is trying to become the 108th generation of creatures that are born from the World Tree. The previous generation before that was the dragons, and the generation before that was the humans, and the generation before that was the winglies. So all these creatures that were born through the World Tree are building up to a point where the World Tree creates its last creation, the Virage, which destroys the entire Earth again, completely wiping everything out. The winglies were trying to assert themselves as the last species, so they overtook the humans and they enslaved them. But then the dragons were born, and then 11,000 years in the past, the dragons were turned into basically like weapons and kind of buddied with the humans, and the humans and the dragons worked together to kill almost all the winglies. Rose, that one in black that you see on screen there, she is she's a human from 11,000 years ago, who is one of the original Dragoons who partnered with the dragons to try and defeat the winglies. The only reason she's alive now, 11,000 years later, is because of a choker. That's it. There's no clarification whatsoever. She has Rose's choker. That's what makes her live so long. Nobody explains it. We just accept it.
That's just it.
Yeah, we just say, okay, thanks, good to know.
I've got this magic trinket. That's it.
Yes. So the Winglies are still kind of alive. There's like one evil one named Al Fromm or Fraum or something like that, who takes over Dart's dad's body, who was also from 11,000 years in the past, but didn't do it. So Dart's dad is also from that timeline. He was turned to stone. However, he was given the Legend of his Dragoon emblem, the red Dragoon thing. The bad guys took his soul and stuffed it in there. And then shortly after Dart was born, which was not 11,000 years ago, he was born later on.
How does that happen?
They don't ever really explain him meeting up with his dad, like how any of that really worked or how his dad survived. There's literally a cutscene of his dad turning into dust. Rose loved him. Like they were partners. But Rose is not his mom, okay? So 11,000 years later, Dart was a kid. His dad and mom were in a city that was getting attacked. And Dart's dad activated his Dragoon sphere to go save the city. But when he did, it took the bad guy's soul, reawakened, and took over his body. And then he became the villain and started like doing all the shit to the world. Killed his own wife, which was Dart's mom, leaving Dart an orphan, and so on. But then Dart gets the Dragoon sphere handed down to him from his dad. But the guy's soul is not in it anymore. So now the Dragoon power can go to Dart without any like repercussions or powers or whatever it is.
He can goon without any repercussions.
So that stuff happened in the past, and then the Winglies kind of like all disappeared, and then now this Virage thing kind of was started by the World Tree, but it kind of like took it kind of like stalled out, and Shauna is the reincarnation of the soul that was born from the tree to recycle the world, essentially. However, her soul, having left that, didn't reactivate the tree, and so she so like it couldn't continue its destruction of the entire world. And the soul of Shauna, which isn't actually Shauna, that soul, the 108th soul, was just continuously being reborn every 100 or so years. And Rose had to stay alive and killed the person who would be reincarnated as the soul every single time. This time is different because this is the first time that Shauna had a twin sister when she was born, and Rose killed the wrong sister. She thought she killed Shauna, but she didn't know that Shauna had a twin. And so Shauna ends up surviving, and because she was because her soul was still resonating with the Virage embryos that were around, the tree started to reawaken, and then Zeeg, the bad guy or whatever it is, figured it out, kidnapped her, and then triggered the world-ending thing to start. The bad guy who was inside Zeeg's body, Fraum, is basically like in control of his soul, and he was trying to reactivate the god at the end of the game so he could take over the god's body and become the bad guy who was the last survivor. Like, destroyed the whole world, and he was like, I'm gonna live. I'm gonna make it. I figured out how to do it, and that's who you fight and kill at the end of the game. Is Fraum. So that's the whole like story of Legend of Dragoon. The translation completely biffs it to try and get you there. And it makes it so hard for you to take a lot of these characters seriously. Because there's so many times where information is really stilted, and bad guys who like kind of are actually kind of good guys, to when they get these points where they're going to redeem themselves on their deathbed, and the other characters are like, oh, he's actually a nice person, no, you know what I mean, and they're like helping you clarify that, because it's so poorly translated, it's really hard to make it seem like the bad guy who just got like killed, and he's laying there on the ground, and the good guys are kind of like, do you regret it now? And he's just kind of like, yeah, I am a bad guy, I deserve this. You know, and it just like, it could have been delivered better. Like, it just could have been delivered better overall. So and that's kind of like my biggest complaint with the game, is stuff like that. and just Shauna and Dart's relationship is probably the worst part, because they want to tell this really big epic story, and we don't have a ton of information about all of your characters, where they could have taken the 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 Dragoon spheres, which you think are important, right? They're not. The game doesn't give you any background information on any of them except for Dart's.
They're just a MacGuffin.
Yeah, except for Darts and Roses. Those are the only two characters you get any real reason for the background stuff, or for any Dragoon Sphere stuff. And you're just like, these Dragoon Spheres are supposed to be like super important, and the Dragoon Spheres choose the person that they want to be a part of. In fact, the one that Shauna had left Shauna because it found somebody more worthy than Shauna to wield it. And you also like get Dragoon Spheres from bad guys, and then when they die, whoever it is that was in your party is just the next most worthy person. It's like, okay, thanks, game. and you literally find one of them at a junk store. You find one in a junk store, and
super important items, guys.
Yeah. And if you miss it in the game, if you miss it at that point, there's no going back until you beat get to the end of the game. If you miss it, you don't get it until the end of the game, because you need it just because of the end of the game. The game, they just threw it there because they wanted to be weird. I don't know. They were just trying to be like secretive about it, but like, why would you go back to this store? Like, if I didn't look it up online, I would have missed it. I would have straight missed it. I was on the chapter that you needed to be on to get it, and if I had passed that chapter, I would have missed it until the end of the game. Guess what? I didn't use it the whole game. I didn't use that. I never used that guy's Dragoon Sphere the whole time. Kongo, the big dude. So, like, if the game had taken the time to tell more story about the characters, I think I would have been way more invested in each of them as individuals. I think would have been really, really cool. Because not only that, the game had the opportunity to tell us stories about the Dragoon Spheres themselves, and it just never took that opportunity. And that, I think, is something that I noticed that the Tales of Symphonia does, where it takes you on this journey, and the characters have skits and vignettes where they're talking to each other, and you're building character relationships with these characters just through these vignettes, where you just find out about just day-to-day things where they're like talking over a campfire and other things like that. They could have done that with this game, and it would have been really cool. I think it would have been like, man, I would have really liked to get to know Meru more, because she's totally weird and strange, and she says dumb shit, and she acts like a total goofball. But it would have been interesting to see what she's like on when it's like chill time, you know what I mean, like rest time and stuff like that. So oh my gosh, you guys have been posting stuff and I can't stop. The simple plot. I'm sorry. I'm reading all your messages right now. I just noticed you guys have been blowing it up. So, anyways, those are kind of like, I think those are kind of like all my major points that I wanted to really strike with this. Legend of Dragoon is a good game story wise. It's got really cool visuals. It's got some nice music. There's no way you would look at this game nowadays and say, I gotta play this, because people are still talking about it. No, you don't. You don't really have to. People are still talking about it, yes, but I don't understand why. Because over the course of the 3-year development cycle that it came out, between 1996 and 1999, at the end of the year its release, the PS2 came out shortly after this. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 were available. Final Fantasy 9 came out shortly after this. Even like and it's just like there was like just this whole like 3 years of like incredible RPGs coming out for the PS1, that Legend of Dragoon should have been out a year prior, and I think people would have looked at it and said, this is a good RPG. This is a game that, you know, it just, if it had baked a little longer in the translation, if they had just done if the developers had just put more work into the story with the characters, this game could be considered a real classic, in my opinion, and not the did you play it or not? Oh, well, okay, because I've had it recommended to me before, and I've had people go like, you've never played Legend of Dragoon? And I'm like, why should I? And they're like, I mean, I guess. I'm like, but
You're just expected to play it, not that it's good or not.
But because of all the RPGs I play, people expect me to play it. So now I've done it. I've
Hey,
beaten
now
it.
you have.
I'm glad I played it. I'm glad I can say I have a good opinion, a relatively good opinion of it. But it'll always, the translation thing I just can't get over. And I really feel like if I was a native Japanese speaker and I could speak Japanese and read this in Japanese, I better than I do now. I think I would have liked it a lot more because I would have understood the characters a little better. I would have liked them a little better. There's just other games that have character rosters like this, just do a better job with them. I do not like the fact that I can't swap characters during combat because these characters aren't like characters in Final Fantasy VIII, let's say, where you pick a team, you have a team of 3 or whatever it is, but you can put whatever magic and abilities you want on each character. You know, you like this character and this character does this, so I'm going to take Kira and I'm going to put it on this guy. But this game forces you to pick a party and you're stuck with them the whole game because grinding additions is a pain in the butt. You get 1 addition point per attack of successful additions that you successfully do in combat. You only get 1 point every time, and doing so doesn't actually do anything better. Doing so doesn't really help you like want to swap characters in your party. If you have been swapping characters, you're probably actually worse off than you did if you picked 2 and stuck with them the whole time. So, that is it. I'm done talking about Legend of Dragoon. We can move on. I want to talk about.
Would you say that you are glad you gooned?
I am glad I gooned. It took me 61 hours of gooning, and I did it. Take a gooning breath. I do like the goon jokes. That's been great. So
just looking at the footage, I will say it to me it just feels like they were looking over the shoulder of Final Fantasy. Like even the way the transition for the screen went from you got the pre-rendered background, your character's running, random battle, the little waterfall transition. In my head, I'm hearing rum bum bum ba da 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 da, and it lined up exactly with like how like even the cadence and the pace. You have the character portraits on the screens, like they were copying FF7's homework a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna play. That's just. Oh, also, this game comes with its own menu music. Which you have to hear really quick. Because every time you go to the menu, this is what you hear every single time.
I mean, this takes me to the 90s. I dig it. I mean, it's not Battletoads.
No, it's not. But the game has its own menu music, and it's so weird to me.
Speaking of good music,
it's so right, exactly. It's so weird to me that every time I went to the menu, I would have to hear the intro to a softcore porn. So it's good though. It's a good song. 45 minutes of gooning. Yeah, holy cow. I talked for a long time about Legend of Dragoon. I had a lot to say.
Yeah.
But that's epic RPGs.
You got it out. You've put your experience into the universe.
I've said it. It's been done. It's I even joined the Legend of Dragoon subreddit just so I could ask questions of the people who are total nerds of the game. That's how dedicated I am for you guys. So
thank you.
Yes, it was an experience. If it wasn't for Ace Investigations, I would have beaten this game sooner. Just because I had to put a lot of time into Ace Investigations just to get through Legend of Dragoon. I think that definitely targeted all my notes because I have three pages of notes here.
I'm getting pumped just watching this Batman footage now.
So let's go to our Game of the Month suggestions. We're going to definitely start here with Batman for the NES. I've never played this. I've heard it's very good.
Really?
Actually, I own it. I'm pretty sure I own it.
You've never even popped it in and played through the first level?
I've played a little bit of it, actually, at your place, if I remember right.
I was gonna say,
because you
I
own it,
like
don't
this
you?
one. I like this one.
It was
Yes.
this or it was Batman Returns. I think I played.
So this one, the copy I have was actually my uncle's.
Okay.
Uh, him and my cousins, they had their childhood NES,
Oh, okay.
and the only game that he played on it was Tetris. And he's like, I'm not gonna keep around a CRT TV, to play this anymore. I don't ever play it. You want it? And I already took his VIC-20 off of him, so it's like, yeah, I'll take your NES.
Yeah.
And this is after my parents sold my original NES, so
Oh.
this was the return to
Okay.
NES glory when I got that, and Batman was part of that stack of games, and I used to play the heck of this every Thanksgiving.
And it's got.
Oh, Sunsoft were the masters of the
It's
NES
so
sound
good.
hardware.
Yeah, way better than Konami ever did, in my
Hmm.
opinion. And I think Konami did great, but I think
Oh yeah.
they have too much of a every song sounds like a Konami song type deal
Yes.
when it comes to them. So, what was the name of
This
their other
one,
sub company? It was
oh,
Konami.
Ultra Games.
Ultra, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Batman, it ramps up in the difficulty later in the game. It really does. But I don't know. I honestly would throw it in the same leagues as Castlevania.
Okay, okay, very nice. I love the sprite. I love Batman's sprite in this game. It looks so cool. Um, let's see, but let's
I'm hoping for
go
this one.
to something that may also be cool: killing Nazis. Ba-bam!
Ooh, yeah. Always a good day for that.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein, PS2, Xbox era, 2001. So, um, I didn't realize they were still making Wolfenstein games at this point. So it's kind of neat to see, especially with the Wolfenstein reboots that they kind of came out with. So, with
Yeah.
those being my most recent experience, I'm wondering if JB Blazkowicz is the main character in this. I'm not sure, but it looks good. Like the gameplay stuff I'm watching, like right now he's sneaking, like and the gameplay I was watching earlier today when I was looking up this video, like it looks like a pretty solid shooter. Like uh, you know, almost kind of looks really modern, just with like a kind of like a PlayStation veneer to it.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't play a whole lot of first person shooters back in this era,
Yeah, me
so
neither.
I wouldn't mind playing something like this. I wouldn't mind
I'm
if this got
curious.
picked.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? That's a really good point. I don't think I've played very many first person shooters outside of GoldenEye, really.
No.
And
At this
yeah,
point, I was kind of like, Call of Duty, and I kind of shunned the genre as a whole. I played, Modern Warfare 2 on the 360, but,
yeah. I played Medal of Honor, I think, in this time
okay.
on PC at a friend's house for a little bit, but I never like really got to play them, So this would be kind of fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sneaking around, finding vantage points, taking out turrets, stuff like that. It looks cool. It looks good.
I'd
Hopefully,
be
the
down with
whole
this one.
game is kind of like that. But I'm sure a lot of it's going to be run and gunny stuff too. I'm not sure. Could check
And
it
it was
out.
the PS2 version that was kind of suggested for this, right?
Either one.
I see there is an Xbox and an
Um,
Amiga OS 4 version.
is there?
There is.
But I think if it gets picked, we'll let John, or excuse me, Grendel, determine which console gets knocked off the list.
Fair enough.
So, speaking of something that hasn't gotten knocked off a list, this is still on the backlog. It's been suggested a few times. Majora's Mask,
A
solid
classic.
game, and I will say that playing it on the N64 is probably the best version in terms of playing it, but the 3DS version is still out there. So if you have access to it or you've got it one way, I believe it's available on the NSO. I think
I think so, yes.
I think playing these games on original hardware is pretty is an important life lesson for menuing. Okay?
Right.
Or the Wii U Virtual Console. I believe the Wii U Virtual Console still has the menuing, so that in my opinion is the experience you really need to have. Is to just know what it's like to swap stuff back and forth over and over again, by pausing the game instead of just having like the 3D version. The 3DS version gives you your
Click, click,
menu
click,
on the
those
bottom, and you
items.
can just click everything on the bottom. Yeah.
That might be the reason why I play the 3DS version if this
Yeah,
gets picked.
that's true. I might just pop in my N64 version again, just to do it. All right. The Rescue of Princess Blobette.
Interesting pick.
I'm pretty sure Seasons did a random game generator thing, and this came up. I'm guessing.
Thanks, ChatGPT, for the suggestion.
He's typing. Yeah, I am right. I knew it. It's like I don't even think he knew this game existed.
Wow.
I never cared for the boy and his blob stuff, but I think that this would be interesting. A tangerine trampoline item. I
would kind of like to force myself to play through one of these.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would play this with a guide, 100%. I don't think I'm
100%.
I don't think I would do this without a guide, or even just at least a visual map, and then a list of what all of the jelly beans do, because you only get so many jelly beans, right? You have to use them in the right.
You don't want to waste them.
Yeah, exactly. You can't waste them. So, speaking of something that's a waste, wasn't a waste. Donkey Kong Land didn't let those assets go to waste.
I have a sad story about this game.
Oh no. You can see they literally just ripped the Super Nintendo sprites and put it on the Game Boy, which in my opinion is the most egregious mistake I've ever seen in my life.
The controls are a little bit, well, the hitboxes are a little bit wonky on this one.
I used to have this game for the original Game Boy, and I think my cousin stole it. I don't remember. But I remember when I was playing this game, trying to pay attention to what was on the screen on the old Game Boy was so hard to see what was happening.
Yes.
Now, I will say the cool thing about the Donkey Kong Land games is that they're all unique challenges. Like the worlds themselves are all unique, even though it's sprite rips from a lot of stuff. There are still unique sprites of things, and I believe it's like an in-between of Donkey Kong Country 2 as well. A little bit. This game came out after that game, right?
There's even like a city area in the first Donkey Kong Land that's like completely unique to this game.
Because the first world is Gangplank Galleon. Like there's the pirate ship right there.
Yep. But it gets into some unique locations later on.
Yeah. I wonder if this is Gangplank Galleon when it's parked in Donkey Kong's island. Is the idea, right?
Yeah, maybe.
What were you saying though? It gets in some unique what?
No, just like later on, like you get some unique level themings that aren't even in the original games. With like some pillars, like an underwater level with some like Greek style pillars and stuff. It's really got some unique levels.
Like Sonic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got unique everything. It's got a lot of uniqueness to it, whether or not it's borrowed sprites from other stuff. So.
Yes.
Speaking of something that's borrowed from other things, Alundra was considered the Zelda of the PlayStation 1, a action-oriented RPG. I picked this one because I bought Alundra a long time ago, and I really want to play through it, and I wanted to use you guys as a good reason to do it. Not a super rare game, but it's still a little bit on the pricier side for an old game. I think it might be like $30 or $40, maybe. The sequel, I believe, Alundra 2, is more expensive.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks like they tried to replicate a Sega game on the PlayStation 1 to me. That's what it looks like to me. Almost kind of Crusader Ascenti.
It feels. Yep. It feels kind of Genesis-y in a way.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. That's Alundra. Not much to say about that. Not much to say about this one. One of the most popular games ever made for the NES. The original Legend of Zelda. So, yeah. It's on here. Zelda 2?
It's 10 out of 10.
It is the original Zelda that's supposed to be on here, right?
No, I think it was Zelda 2.
Was it?
I think. Oh no, is it?
Cannot mess with me. No, it is Zelda one. Thank you, Dosbrat. Appreciate it.
Okay.
He's the one who suggested it.
Whew.
I was like, screwing with me. You voted for one, and you voted for it. It was voted for twice, right? You backed it up twice,
I
right?
feel more comfortable with this suggestion.
Yeah. I ain't gonna have another Silicon Valley situation on my hands. Because that's what I had written down. Can we please reconfirm the vote? Just thanks, Zach. Thanks, Seasons. That's great. I just want to make sure, Dasbrat, that was you wanted this game. You were using both your votes for this game, right? Please look up the manual for details. Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to double check before I moved on. And the last one, Mega Man Zero for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. This one's not too bad, is it?
I don't know. It looks like Mega Man X, but on the Game Boy Advance. Puff, puff, puff. Love the storytelling dialogue stuff. Isn't she a robot too?
Shopping.
I struggle with the Mega Man's rough around the edges. Sequels are much better. Okay, good to know. Still, more focus on Melee. Oh, interesting. Maybe I'll like it more. I still have not beaten any of the Mega Man X games myself. I've beaten all the original NES Mega Man games. I did not beat Mega Man 7 on the Super Nintendo, right? Is 7 on the Super Nintendo?
Correct.
And then 8 on the PS1, right?
Correct, yes. Okay. And Saturn.
And then I've beaten 9 and 10 and 11.
Okay, 11, I actually liked 11.
Yeah, 11's not bad. Actually, I thought it was a nice like return to form, but I don't think it was necessary like to make that game. So Mega Man and Bass. What's the difference with Mega Man and Bass? I have not played Mega Man and Bass. Is it
That was a Super Famicom game. We never got it.
Okay.
It eventually came out as it was Rockman and Forte, obviously, in Japan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But then it was Mega Man and Bass on the Game Boy Advance did get released in the States. But the screen is so cramped that it's a rough one.
Oh, okay. So
you kind of need the full screen resolution of the Super Nintendo version.
Nintendo version. Okay. Get the Famicom. All right,
There's
guys.
probably an Etsy seller that has like a translated version of it.
All right, so we have Majora's Mask on here twice and The Legend of Zelda on here twice. I put them back to back to each other so they can't accidentally tick off each other if they get to it. So it gives you guys a little more buying power with your votes. So here we go.
Spin the wheel. And it's...
Oh. Hey!
Oh, beep.
Batman. All right. Cool. Exciting.
All right.
Batman. The origins of Batman. The first time Batman's ever existed, correct?
Batman. Yes, the NES game was the origin of Batman.
That's where he's come from. This is where Batman came from, guys. All right, cool. Batman. I love it. Let me know if I got to let me know what I can come up with for a challenge for Batman for the NES. So we can put that in the thing. Just beat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can kind of cheese it with save states, I guess.
When I make the chat page for it, should I paraphrase that it says Batman/NES or something, or just put Batman, and then we can just make sure we assume there is no other game called Batman, right?
There's like a Game Boy version, I think. So I'd say NES Batman. They're all different games, so it's got to be the NES version.
Okay, sounds good. So NES version of Batman. You heard it from here. You heard it here first, folks. All right. First up is Fire Emblem Path of Radiance for the GameCube for our next quarterly game. Remember, we have a long time for a quarterly game, as long as we don't have other games taking up a long time in that time slot. like the entire game series for Ace Attorney. um, I think Path of Radiance is like 80 hours or something. Like it's a
Ooh.
long game, and mostly because this was before you could speed up combat and stuff, I believe. And but it
Okay, so
is
you had to watch everything.
yeah, but this one is considered one of the better Fire Emblem games out there. Um, is this available on the Nintendo GameCube stuff now? Is this available there?
Uh,
It just dropped.
just
Okay, I thought
GameCube.
so. I
Okay.
thought I had seen it on the Nintendo the NSO.
Well, thank God, because it's not a cheap game. Or is it?
No, it's not. It's $250.
Oh gosh. Okay.
That's an expense. It's an expensive one, and then its sequel is just as expensive. The sequel on the Wii. Uh, um,
Mm.
uh,
Not
what?
getting the physical for this one, guys.
No, sorry. If you don't have it already, it's already super expensive. Um, Speaking of something that's not super expensive, Dragon Warrior 3 or Dragon Quest 3 here in the
Yay.
States. The NES version. Now they did just release the Pixel 3D remaster.
Yeah.
You
That's
could.
probably how I'll end up playing it.
It's called Final Fantasy 6 here in the States now. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Dragon Warrior 6.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Uh, I kind of want to play it on the NES just because I've never played any of the NES Dragon Quest games. Um, but I kind of want to also play the Pixel remaster really bad.
I
Like,
also have the Game Boy Color version of this one.
oh, nice. It did get
So it's kind of
released.
like, ooh, do I do it on the Analog Pocket?
Um, so my understanding is the Pixel remaster is not different. It is the same game, pretty much the whole thing, as far as I know. Don't quote me on that. Look it up. We'll if it gets selected, we'll look it up and see if there's any real differences or whatever it is. Anything that really is a major change. But as far as I know, it is the same game. The Pixel remaster is the same game as the NES version. So, I mean, obviously it's going to be different, but it may as well be the same game. Unlike Persona 3's remaster, which is just a different version of Persona 3. I don't think this game is that makes that. I don't think it makes that big of a difference if you play this game as the Pixel remaster or the NES version. I don't know. I won't know
Yeah.
unless it gets selected. I'll look it up.
I'm going to say play whatever. They're generally the same game.
Right. And so, but what you would have no choice but to play on the original hardware is Dragon Warrior Monsters, the collectible monster game in the vein of Pokemon. Did not get a Pixel remaster, so you would have no choice but to play this.
OG hardware for this one.
OG hardware for this one, yes. Or just ROM
Have you
it.
ever played on any of these?
I own the second one.
Okay.
And I've played a little bit of it. And the second one seemed to rely on the fact that you may have wanted to have already played the first one. But there's monster capturing and monster breeding. The best way to get the best monsters is to crossbreed them to get other monsters. I remember reading about this game in Nintendo Power magazine and being absolutely enthralled with the sprite work. I was really into the sprites on this game, and I was like, oh, this would be so cool. I was like, look at that slime with the crown on his head. Oh, that's so neat. Stuff like that I really liked. I don't really know much more about it other than you build a team and you can get other monsters and you breed them. So, something I do know more about is suplexing trains.
Woo! And of course, it starts right here.
I know, I picked this spot.
Oh, okay.
I picked this spot on purpose. So, Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 3, as it was originally released on the Super Nintendo here in the West. That's another game we have for our classic games. Probably one of the best Final Fantasies ever made. Most people who talk about Final Fantasy and they'll say pick your favorite, and depending on what era you grew up in, FF6, it's either FF6 or 7 or it's 10.
Yep.
I believe typically a lot of people kind of define Final
Sometimes
Fantasy.
9 for the wild card.
Yeah. I don't know why people say that. It's a good game, but I don't think it's that good. Yeah. Please. Yes! There it is. Yes. Suplex the train.
All right, we saw it. We're good.
Yes, we're good. Next is Digimon World. In this game, you get a Digimon partner. You get sucked into the digital world, and you have a little town that you have to build up by recruiting Digimon that you find. And you can give them... You have to either have the right Digimon with you to recruit them, or get them the right item, or beat them in battle, other stuff like that, and they recruit them. And as you recruit them, you build the town up. There are a couple Digimon, I think, that were like in it that you actually shouldn't recruit because they end up like chasing out another Digimon or something like that. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I played this game. But this game is actually really, really fun because your character doesn't do anything. The Digimon fights for you, and based on what you're doing with your commands, like you can and you're taking care of them the exact same way you would take care of your Digipet, like feeding, cleaning up after them, and training them. And you only get the one, and he digivolves the stronger he gets and other stuff like that. There's like different ways. And
Similar
like
to the digital pet. You got one guy.
Yes, and there's different pathways he can grow up and turn into. He starts out as Agumon.
Cool.
He starts out as Agumon, and then if he dies, he restarts as an egg, and then you can get different egg versions and stuff like that. It's really cool. It's like really cool. Your character can get killed by other guys, like if he gets attacked, so you got to be like careful, like not to get beat up outside of combat. I believe like there's Palmon, she could join you too. I believe you just talk to her, but like yeah, all sorts of stuff. There's like different ways like to like just go through the game. Like you don't have to like collect everybody if you don't want to, but like it's really neat. And I would I think challenge wise, see, we can see a battle here really quick. See, he's saying your call. That's like do your own
thing. My Digimon ready.
Hey, perfect. So you could play and play at the same time. But this is a really cool game, and I think everybody should give this one a shot. I would love to really sit down and actually like beat this game. Like to me, this would be a really fun one to just like very chill veg out to.
This is the one with Metal Greymon on the cover, right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. This one's not. Is this one expensive?
I don't think it's too terribly expensive. Either way, it's a good game to own if you don't own it. It's a fun game.
Cool.
Really cool world design. Nothing's like super like the world isn't like super huge, so like you can kind of explore everything, but like to completely get through the whole game, you do have to kind of like work at it. So you can't just like cheese the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Looks like we're talking about $60 to $75.
Oh,
could
is it
be
really
higher.
that expensive now?
Yeah, it's getting up there.
Oh,
this one might be see if I can find a good deal if it does get picked though.
I have it, so I don't have to worry about
Nice.
it. I used to hate the idea of Digimon as a kid because I was a Pokemon fanboy, but I would be interested to at least learn what it's about. I think
Read the season's comments.
What does the season's comments say? They poop everywhere. They do! He does. If you let him poop everywhere and you fill the world with too much poop, he turns into a special poop-type Digimon. If you don't clean up enough poop. That's a really funny thing that he does. He turns into a Digimon called Sukamon. Yeah, it is a poop-type Digimon, and he is shaped like a poop. And he eats all the poop in the game. Brain chip. Whoa! I was gonna say something else. Almonds. Your comment about the Digimon stuff. I too was a Pokemon fanboy and did not like the idea of Digimon because it came out at the same time when we were kids, and I was just like,
pick a side.
Digimon isn't like Pokemon. Yeah, you had to pick a side, and then like you had Digimon fanboys or people who were like turning into Digimon fanboys who were like trying to say it was better than Pokemon. But I'm like, you don't understand how good Pokemon is.
They're different things, though.
They're so different. Yeah, they really are. And in fact, Digimon is actually really just kind of a branch off of its the Tamagotchi stuff.
The Tamagotchis, yep.
So Digimon is actually like competing with Tamagotchi, not Pokemon, because it doesn't involve collecting the Digimon. That's not the important part. So the important part
you
is
have a partner.
yes,
You're raising a partner.
yes. And the cool thing about Digimon World 1 is it really encapsulates that concept a lot better than what people used to think with the whole Pokemon thing. Like, it's not about collecting all the it's not about collecting all the Digimon. It's not about that. It's about being the best Digimon tamer and having only the one Digimon that you're good at taking care of. If you're bad at taking care of him, it'll show in the game. So you have to be good at it. So that's Digimon World. Knights of the Old Republic. I have wanted to play this game for a really long time, and I just never have
either.
any good reason to do it. It's available
Was this
all
only
over
on
the place.
Was it originally just on the Xbox?
Yes, the Xbox was where it was originally released. I do think it got a PlayStation 2 release, though.
There's a Nintendo Switch release. Interesting.
Yeah, they just re-put them. Don't play the new ones.
No.
Don't, because they're really bad ports. Like, they screwed it up, like, really bad.
Oh.
They messed it up. Play it on original hardware if you can. Or, I believe, pick it up on good old games and play it that way.
PC version.
Play the PC version, yeah. Yeah, don't
Okay.
play the Switch version or any of the newer versions that came out. They're bad.
Now, this is one of those BioWare games where you come up on an enemy, then it kind of like freezes time, and then you have to choose an action. Is that how this one works?
No, time does not freeze, I believe. You still have to choose actions, like an action-oriented RPG, but you don't. But I don't believe time freezes. Now, I believe time can freeze if in certain instances, very VATS-like. But I don't believe you get that in this one. I think in KOTOR 2 you did have that, or you could turn it on and off. But because of the style of RPG it is, there's a little bit of a learning curve with it, so you kind of got to remember like what you're doing. There's a dark side and a light side, which did inspire Mass Effect's like good or Paragon and Renegade stuff. You do have to kind of make sure that what you're saying coincides with the light or the dark side, whichever way you're kind of playing, and based on like that stuff. I know in 2 determined like what party members followed you, but you have to kind of pick and choose what you're doing a little bit. I don't know how much of that's in this one, but it's a classic game for a reason, and people talk about it a lot. So
showing its age, looking at it in 2026, though.
Yeah, but I'd be 100% down to play this on the original Xbox.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I want to. Oh yeah, it did stop. There it was. Yeah. So. But yeah, it looks like once you select something, you don't have to change that unless you want to change like what you're doing in the combat. So yeah, KOTOR. Cool. I'm excited. I want to play this game, so I'm glad it's on the list. It's cool to see. So
spin the wheel.
All right, here we go. And we got FF6 on here twice and Path of Radiance on here twice. So very cool.
Sounds good.
What do we Hey,
there it is.
KOTOR. All right, that's our next quarterly game. KOTOR. Very cool.
And they sold 1 million of these, so I should be able to find this on OG hardware cheap.
Yeah, it should be pretty affordable.
Nice.
Should be pretty affordable. So, very cool. Well, awesome. Thank you, everybody, for coming to my rant. That was my TED Talk about Legend of Dragoon. You can find all of our older episodes on the YouTube page. You can follow along. If anybody knows any friends that want to join, please join us. We need some more fresh blood coming in. I believe we're kind of falling behind a little bit with some stuff. And a lot of people are kind of starting to drop off, and it's only kind of like the us now. It feels like. So, yeah, invite some friends. Get some more people in. We still see a lot of action, though, I believe. I think we're still doing pretty well, but like I feel like we have like a very small group of people now at this point. But yeah, let's see how it changes. Hopefully down the road we can kind of like start to spread out and get a little bit of a bigger reception going on. I don't want us to die out. I like this. I like doing all this. Which I don't think we won't. I don't mean to sound like negative about it. We're all disappearing.
Is this the last podcast?
Oh no! Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Anime chat. We have picked Genosia, I believe, for the next one. I think is what we were talking about. That came out recently. It's been a really cool, like mystery game or mystery anime to watch. I believe that's what we chose for our next one. Yes. This takes the NES off our list for next month, with Batman being our monthly one. So sorry, guys. It's fine. It's one big,
Batman's a good one.
Yeah, we no longer have. That's 3 Nintendo consoles down.
So. What do we? So are we down to the?
We have the Super Nintendo. It was over with, right? We used that, didn't we? Donkey Kong Country 2, yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's just the 64 at this point.
Yep. So we got PC, Super Nintendo, NES, and GameCube are no longer on the table for viable options.
All right.
And the reason why I'm taking PC off is because the backlog chose that one. Missing. But yeah, I think I'm going to. So next time even if we do get a backlog option picked, basically consider that like game console saved at the time. It doesn't matter what that is. I'm gonna let the backlog pick what the backlog picks. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's just how it gonna be. Yeah. So if you guys, well, I guess that's kind of it. I don't really have anything else to say. Sorry about that. I thought I had another thought, and then I overthunked the thought. So yeah, if you guys need any help getting ROMs or something like that, please reach out. We can always help each other. If you are playing Kotar or something like that, please post stuff. I love seeing people be active and do things like when I was playing Legend of Dragoon. I was trying to constantly talk about it while we were playing it, even though I was the only one. I was trying to keep the conversation going.
I liked seeing your journey.
Thank you very much. It was definitely a fun journey. And it was it all culminated into today. So
worth it.
I don't think I foresee anything else going as I don't foresee me being as hard on anything else for a little while yet. But I'm excited to talk about Knights of the Old Republic at the end of next quarter. So that'll be a cool one to go through. And I'm excited to play that. I really am excited to play that game. Next month you got to finish up Brutal Legend if you haven't. And then Batman, and then we'll talk again in a month. So everybody have a happy Easter. I will see you all next time. Peace.
Peace.